Good morning. We shall call the order the Douglas County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Please note that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the Legislative Chamber alongside an automatic external defibrillator. Please stand for the pledge. Our first order of business is the Douglas County Board of Equalization. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Friend, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Here. First, we have items A and B, A being the approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held Tuesday, August 27th, 2024, and B, a call for a meeting and set Tuesday, September 17th, 2024, as date for hearing on certified assessment corrections reflecting the addition of omitted property to the tax rolls or increased value on property. Do I have a motion and a second? Second. Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have our resolutions. Resolution C through, C through I today on Board of Equalization. I believe we are safe to vote in block if the board desires. Yep. Motion to approve by Rogers. Second. Second by Morgan. Any discussion on resolutions, Board of Equalization?
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Alan Seibert, 5537 North 140th Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68164, regarding CAC number 24095. The real estate transfer statement form 521 line 14 says the current market value of the property is $140,000. Line 22 says the total price is $182,500. Line 24 says the adjusted purchase price paid is $182,500. State statute 77112 says actual value of real property for purposes of taxation means the market value of real property in the ordinary course of trade. And actual value is the most probable price expressed in terms of money that a property will bring if exposed for sale in the open market or in an arm's length transaction between a willing buyer and a willing seller. Nothing on the real estate transfer statement indicates that this was not a sale in the open market. On a letter from the DC assessor dated August 27th, the corrected total value is $187,200. The letter says the property was reviewed by an appraiser. There is no other explanation. Statute 77112 also says actual value may be determined using professionally accepted mass appraisal methods, including but not limited to the sales comparison, income, and cost approaches. Questions? On the real estate transfer statement, where did the $140,000 amount on line 14 come from? And why do the amounts on line 14, 22, and 24 differ? On the assessor's letter, where did the $187,200 amount come from? And why do the amounts on the real estate transfer statement and the assessor's letter differ? What approach in statute 77112 was used to determine actual value? If there is something else that supports the $187,200 amount on the assessor's letter, why was it not included in the agenda attachments so it could be available for public review? I've asked similar questions before, so it should be no surprise that I'm asking these questions now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seibert. Mr. Goodwillie or Mr. Clerk, is there any additional context either one of you could provide for this case by chance? I know it's last minute, but.
Dan Esch, Douglas County Clerk, since these were submitted by the Assessor Register of Deeds, I would not. So.
Got it. While we give Mr. Goodwillie a chance there, we'll jump to Commissioner Kavanaugh.
I was going to ask the same question.
Okay.
I don't know if Mr. Goodwillie has something to give us a context, maybe not on this particular property, but just as a general assessment. I guess I'd have a couple of the same questions, just common sense. But if you do, Mr. Goodwillie, have a general policy statement that could touch on this for us, that would be good.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Goodwillie, Douglas County Assessor Register of Deeds Office. The quick and dirty answer is we don't fill out the Form 521. That's the buyer and the seller that fill it out. They could write $1 or $1 million. It wouldn't necessarily affect the way we value the property. I don't have I've got to page through the paperwork, and I don't know that you really want to watch me do that. But my suspicion is that when we got this property to put on the tax rolls, that we valued it through whatever methodology we used for that neighborhood, whether it was cost or sales comparison approach. And we are a market value state. If we don't think what we're seeing on the 521 represents market value, well, we would appraise it on its own merits anyway based on what we're seeing in that particular neighborhood. And so my suspicion is that we didn't really pay a lot of attention to what we were seeing in the Form 521 simply because, as Mr. Seibert pointed out, there's this discrepancy between what they listed as their consideration on different lines of the form. So I think we probably appraised this on its own merits.
Commissioner Kavanaugh, your mic's not on right now. Give me a second.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. All right.
If I am getting this right, the property sold sometime in the recent past for $182,500 or something like that.
Well, that's what they've got listed on their Form 521. It looks like this was a property that was owned by the federal government, and so therefore was exempt. And when the property sells to a private individual from an exempt entity, we go ahead and we have to place a value on it. And so we reappraised the property. I suspect what we looked at is, given its location, what we were seeing in the rest of the neighborhood.
And so that purchase price would maybe establish some kind of a benchmark for valuation?
Well, it might be a starting place, but we're certainly not obliged to maintain that. This isn't Prop 13. This isn't California.
Right.
So this would rise or fall on its own merits.
So when we have it on the agenda for needs value of 2024, how does that adjust what we're talking about? What number do we come to based on that?
Well, our position is we think the property's market value is $187,200.
Very good.
And so all this entire list in item D are items that might have previously been exempt. Either they were owned by the federal government or they were owned by the municipal land bank, which by law, those properties are exempt. And then once they get sold to a taxable entity, then we have to put a value on them. Some of them are properties that nonprofits got from the land bank, but they weren't doing anything with them, so we had to put a value on them. So that's what this is cleaning up a lot of that kind of thing prior to tax billing, which our office and the Treasurer's office and a whole bunch of other people need to begin preparing for right around the corner.
Yeah, I want to commend you on that. I think that, this is an example of due diligence that we practice in trying to come to reasonable valuations. Mr. Siebert, I want to thank you for coming down and raising these questions. I hope this answers some of them. If not, you can follow up with Mr. Goodwillie. I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Morgan?
I was going to ask you, when did this transfer or sale of the property take place?
Do you have your 521?
What
'Cause
year?
It's gone back into the pile. Yeah, it looks like it took place in early of this year, or February of '24.
And it was arm's length transaction?
Well, we're not entirely sure. We're always a little bit suspicious of sales from government or nonprofit entities. And in fact, in the mass appraisal literature, they're viewed with a significant degree of suspicion in terms of being what we'd call a valid arm's length sales transaction. So it may have been, it may not have been, but in any event, the consideration written down on the Form 521 by the parties, we don't view as binding.
The only thing I've always thought is that if there's an arm's length sale in recent months, or last year even, that should be close to what the value is. I mean, and I've seen that, and sometimes the property's listed and the person makes a good buy possibly, but that's not for us to decide, you know, it's worth this much more. That's the only thought I have, but I know the assessor's office tries to do a really good job, and you have good people, and I've met with them a number of times, but as long as it wasn't my aunt that sold it to me at some reduced value, and then I
Sure.
helped her get new furniture for the place she's moving, that it's a little different situation. So that's all I'd ask, is that you maybe take a look at this and see what happens. And nonprofits, I think, want to try to get the best value they can, unless they're selling it to one of their board members or something, but I still don't think they do that sort of thing if they're in the market to be raising funds. Citizens aren't going to contribute if they see that kind of thing going on. So continue to do the best you can, as you always do, Mr. Goodwillie and the staff up there.
Thanks, Mr. Seibert.
May I have a couple of minutes?
If Commissioner Morgan's fine with you finishing his time.
Sure.
The 521, on the 521 statement, and I'm not arguing with anything Mr. Goodwillie has said, but I wanted to point out that the statement that I'd made before was the information on the 521 did not indicate it was anything other than an open transaction, and it even says that the transfer was not between a relative, that it was a warranty deed sale. But I think it's the kind of information that you folks need to do to determine whether or not the valuation is fair or not. And it kind of handcuffs you if you don't have all the information available. And by that, I mean, do you have, I don't know if you have a copy of any worksheets that the assessor may have used to determine the $187,000 amount versus the $182,000. I'd also like to note that there is a 6-month difference between the date of the sale and the date of the letter from the assessor's office, and possibly that could have something to do with the difference in the valuations. You need to remember that valuations are supposed to be set as of January 1st every year. Or not set, but a property is supposed to be valued, determined as of the 1st of January.
What's there as of January 1?
And that's time?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Anybody else on this item? Otherwise, the motion on table is for all resolutions on Board of Equalization, Resolution C through I. Larry, do you have something on a specific resolution?
Larry Storr, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. I want to vote against the resolutions because I think they're an example of how ununderstandable the process of property tax valuations is. As a citizen that walks in off the street today, hasn't done any homework, and tries to understand what's on this agenda, it looks pretty bad for the county. It doesn't make sense. As a property taxpayer, I would want to know, excuse me, can you not get the right neighborhood group? Can you not get the right square footage on a garage? And how do you incorrectly enter a garage on a property tax evaluation? Have we not got a system that works yet? Then the next resolution is tied to this, D. When you read down that list, you begin to wonder, excuse me, all of these properties did not have any values? Did they not have a value for 2023? Are they all exempt properties? Why do they need values for 24? It should have been already there. You've already got mine sewed up and delivered, and I can't really win against Turk to change it. You denied my protest. Why do you not have the values for all these? How many of them were maybe recently acquired at next to nothing, if not nothing, through the land bank or community partnerships? And gee whiz, churches can own that many properties that are not valued yet? How does that work? Even the Omaha Public Schools, but that might be tax exempt. But I'm sorry, Habitat Humanity, they build a lot of houses and resell them. Why are there not values there? Did they just acquire these properties? Did they not pay anything at all for the land? Why not? So don't, and what I'm suggesting is until you get this stuff figured out to, oh yes, 75 North, they've been there for quite a while. Why do they do not have values for 24? Fail to understand that, and it's not explained in at your website. So I think you need a whole evening of discussions, debate, flip charts, whatever, to give a thorough presentation and explanation, questions answered to the citizens of Omaha as to why a lot of us might have to move out of this city because other people don't have values. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on resolutions? If not, we'll vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we'll go into our section labeled protest, items J and K. J is the protest of special valuation of Greenbelt disqualification for parcel 011673010 under the name Stormo at the address listed on the final agenda. Mr. Goodwillie?
Yes, good morning once again, Commissioners. Mike Goodwillie, Douglas County Assessor, Register of Deeds. This is the second time for this property, and the issues are exactly the same. It's about a 10-acre parcel on 180th Street between F and Q. And for a long time, parcels within the city limits would not be eligible for special valuation. The law changed some years ago. And so the parcels could be eligible for special valuation, which is a significant preference that we give to agricultural land in terms of value compared to what its commercial value might be. But the one requirement is that to be considered agricultural land, it must be used for the commercial production of a plant or an animal product. Commercial production is further defined as being operated with a gain, with an idea toward making a profit. Our understanding, based on the application for this parcel, is that there's hay on it, has been for a long time, but nobody ever takes any hay off of it. I think Mr. Stormo has some farm operations in other places, From the application and the protest, it doesn't sound as if they take any of the hay or graze anything on the property or even sell the hay to anybody local. And so as a consequence, we don't believe it's being used for the commercial production of agricultural goods and does not qualify. There is one exception to that rule about ag land and commercial production, and that's if the property is in a conservation easement, but near as we can tell, it's not in that either. So our recommendation is for a denial of the application for special valuation as it was last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwillie. Is the person from this address here by chance? Okay, go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Stormo.
Morning. I have a document to distribute to my, can I do that?
Sure.
Clerk to take it. I think there's enough copies. Let's make sure he gets one.
Oh, thank you.
Just make sure I state your name. My name is Eric Stormo, and I am the trustee for the property at question. And I'm sure, as you all know, Douglas County's implemented a two-tier tax system. If you have a small parcel, the county has this complicated application process, and then they enforce a Soviet-style business plan on you. And if you don't buy into their Soviet-style business plan, they're going to stick you with 15 times higher taxes than your neighbors probably got. And that's essentially the situation I see myself in. And I think the question to keep in mind as we go through this discussion is if my 400 acres under management was in Douglas County and I had 5 acres that I didn't get around to harvesting, or 10 acres, because those were my least profitable acres, would I be up here today because you took away my 10 acres of agricultural valuation? And I think the answer is pretty clearly no. And so fundamentally, I view the problem as because my 390 acres are in other states, you're going to treat me differently than you treat a Nebraska person. And I think that's a clear violation of what the U.S. Supreme Court says you can do. So, for example, the Supreme Court says, first place, as an officer of the state, at least as I see it, the board in front of me is bound by, the federal Constitution and the federal statutes. And I argued last year that you had no authority to tell me how to run my business in interstate agriculture. And unfortunately, the courts haven't gotten around to even asking me for a briefing schedule. So we haven't resolved that, and we're back again because if I don't do this process, I'm stuck with that 15 times higher taxes. And so from my view, again, if you look to a Supreme Court case, you can see in my paper there that, they're very clear. You can't impose a tax on me which discriminates against me because I'm in interstate commerce as opposed to this local person who you want to give some advantage, okay? So I think I make the other point is the Supreme Court, again, is quite clear that even if that wasn't the intent of the legislature when they passed this law, it has the effect of doing that, and therefore it's a problem. As I've said before, the property was purchased by my parents when my father was a professor at the university. For a variety of reasons, we still own it. I recently obtained, control of it, mostly because of the death of my younger brother and my older sister. The county says, well, you haven't harvested hay in the last few years. But the reality for me is, and I do, by the way, have the equipment. I have a 4.8N with side sickle and all the stuff. I can come down and do that. But I have to make tough decisions. And I think of the last 10 years, only 3 of them, I haven't had a disaster declaration, on one of the properties. So, for example, quite a bit of my wife's family farm got wiped out by a tornado. We've had floods. We have all of this requires special labor, and I have to make a decision if I've got $300 an acre productive cropland, or I can come down here and get $1,200 in hay for 2 or 3 days' effort. What decision do I make? And I think it's the county's out of line attempting to manage my business. And I guess one thing, the county continues to argue is that because I don't harvest the hay, it's not in commercial agriculture production. And I think the Supreme Court resolved that question back under FDR because FDR wanted to be able to implement crop quotas like Jimmy Carter's peanut quota. And you don't see them around here much, but they're still in play. And in order to do that, the Supreme Court decided that the minute the crop is planted, it becomes a crop in interstate commerce, whether it's harvested or not for commercial production. So again, you can see the Supreme Court case that justifies that. So from my perspective, I have a crop there. It's not profitable, or at least it's not on the top of my profit list to harvest that particular piece. You treat me different than you treat other people in the county, and I don't think that that's lawful. The other thing that you do by dictating what I have to do is, again, the Supreme Court has said that states can't go around imposing what they call artificial rigidity. And artificial rigidity means I have to do what you want me to do when you want me to do it in the way you want me to do it. And again, another constitutional argument, I don't think you have the federal law on your side. The other argument I raised, and this is the ADA. And probably the reason I don't already have agriculture status is my mother was in her 80s and my sister was dying of pancreatic cancer when she managed it. And the application process is, to say the least, complicated. There's limited dates. You have to do all this other stuff. And the reality is it's all unnecessary because the assessor actually can tell all of my properties, and all of those states are on Beacon. They know exactly what I have if they look very hard. And they can tell from their own information in the aerial photographs that that's in agriculture and it has no improvements. So the application process is completely unnecessary and it acts to the disadvantage of disabled people. And that
So you
again.
got 30 seconds.
Okay, well, and then the second reason I think the application process is unlawful is I have rights under the Constitution to operate my business in interstate commerce. It's called the Dormant Commerce Clause. And I don't have to make application to get civil rights. I don't have to make an application to get First Amendment rights. I don't have to make an application. And the Supreme Court, again, has been clear on this. The state can't do anything to cripple my right, for example, to sue to recover under a civil right, or a variety of other things. And so I'm back to this point. I think that, you know, federal law is on my side. State law may be favored by the county because it's on their side, but I think the Supremacy Clause makes clear which one wins.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions on item J? Otherwise, the assessor's recommendation, again, was to agree to not grant the Greenbelt status, whereas the citizen, of course, is seeking that status. Commissioner Rogers? Motion to deny by Commissioner Rogers. Second by Commissioner Morgan. Additional comments or questions? Otherwise, we'll vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you for being here, sir. Next, we have item K, protest of Form 425 decision at the property at 10232 North 182nd Circle. The agenda lists background, 2024 total value of $639,100 was approved on 8/6/24. The owner protested that decision. A referee reviewed protest and is recommending the total value remain at $639,100. Mr. Clerk, is this the one you mentioned?
Yes, if I may, I don't expect, Dan Ash, Douglas County Clerk, I don't believe the homeowner, Mr. Brom, is planning to contest the recommendation, but I guess I just want to make sure he wasn't on Zoom or in the audience. And I don't believe he is, so.
Okay, we'll go to Commissioner Borgerson.
Thank you. I just wanted a clarification on the 425. Doesn't the property have to be at least 50% damaged in order to, or a loss, or?
No, Mike Goodwillie, Douglas County Assessor, Registry of Deeds Office, 20% is the magic number.
20%?
And so piecing this back, it looks like we got the application came in. We made a recommendation to reduce the property in excess of $100,000, value in excess of $100,000. It's exceeded the 20%. Apparently the property owner didn't think, and you approved that, apparently the property owner didn't think that was enough. He protested. I think Dan's office, Dan Esch's office, gave it to one of the referees that the county hires, and he reviewed it, and he thought there should be no change.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just for clarification purposes, so if we go with the referee's Recommendation to maintain that 639,100 value. Do we need to take further action today? And is that action just to approve the referee's recommendation of 639,100 by Rogers, second by Morgan?
Mr. Chair, do you want that to include adjournment?
It can, yep.
Yes.
All right, good. All right, including adjournment. Any further questions on that? If not, we'll vote.
Oh, sorry. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. All right. On our agenda, we had Board of Corrections and then Board of Commissioners. I'm going to briefly flip those momentarily and go into Board of Commissioners so that we don't keep our friends waiting too long who are visiting us here today. So I will call the order Board of Commissioners and roll call.
Commissioner Borgeson. Commissioner Boyle. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Commissioner Friend. Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Rogers. Mr. Chair.
Here. All right, so we are now in Board of Commissioners, and we are going to jump to our presentation, Section 4, presentation of the Fall 24 UNO Waisili Eastern Europe Delegation visits, and I will call up our friend Val.
Good morning. Val McPherson, 6415 Glenwood Road, Omaha, Nebraska. It is once again my pleasure to be in front of you county commissioners with a delegation of current and future leaders, courtesy of the U.S. Department of State and UNO. They are here for a 5-week civic engagement and leadership program. And they come from 3 different Eastern European countries, Montenegro, Serbia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is the 3rd year. This is the 3rd delegation I've had the pleasure of bringing them before the Douglas County Commissioners. I do want to speak very briefly in regards to our other similar program, Waisili, which is the Southeast Asian program. This is our 10th year for that program, and you recently hosted one of those delegations. I am pleased to announce that the next 3-year grant has just been approved for the Waisili program, so we will continue to bring 2 delegations per year before you, if you'll allow us, for the next 3 years. So thank you, as always, for this opportunity. It is now my pleasure to let each of them introduce themselves, and I think that you will quickly discover why they have already shown themselves to be the leaders in their country, and why the State Department and UNO feels that they are truly the future leaders of Eastern Europe.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Pavel Vučković. I have become a Bachelor of Economics 2 months ago, and I've been a member of the European Youth Parliament for more than 4 years.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Amar Hajrović from Montenegro, a small city from the north of the Montenegro part. So I am a master's student at University of Montenegro. My major is in finance and accounting, and I am so thankful to be here today and to be a part of this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tamara Marjanović, and I'm coming from the Republic of Serbia. I'm a PhD student of international law and also the youngest member of my government. I'm advisor for the Minister of Tourism and Youth. I was a former United Nations Youth Delegate, and now I'm representing the Voice of Youth in the EU.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alexander Ostojić. I also come from Belgrade, Serbia. So I'm consultant on company regulations in the Middle East and also in Belgrade, and I am Bachelor of International Relations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Dunja. I'm also a Bold Fellow from Serbia. I work on natural resource management and intergenerational justice. Actually, our paper on this topic is currently published by the United Nations Economic Commission of Europe. I'm a member of their working group, and it will be presented during the session in Geneva this week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ivana Bilalovic. I come from Serbia, and I'm representative of national minorities in Serbia, Bosniak, Albanian, Muslim community. So I study Scandinavian studies in Belgrade, and I also do a lot of things aside it, like I'm a part of a European Youth Parliament, and also many other organizations regarding minority rights in Serbia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tajma Hadžajlić. I'm coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm still in college. I'm starting in October my second year of medical school, and I'm grateful to be here and to present my country, and thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Dev Pudar. I'm coming from Mostar, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm 20 years old, I'm studying law, and I'm here to work on my project, which is about helping homes for the neglected children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anika Rankovic, and I'm from Belgrade, Serbia. I just got into University of Arts in Management and Culture, and I'm always in debates and interested in politics as in culture. I'm always interested in civic engagement, and thank you for having us here today.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kristina Vukovic from Serbia, and I'm finishing my master's degree in microbiology. In October, I will start my PhD in sustainable agriculture, specifically focusing on climate-friendly artificial fertilizers. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. My name is Amina Bahovic, and I come from Montenegro. I study international relations and European studies, and my passion is youth activism.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Malik Čečkošić, and I am from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I'm still in high school. I am an active volunteer and a member of the youth board at the Youth Bank in Tuzla. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nikola Ilić. I'm a PhD student and junior researcher at the Faculty of Political Sciences in Belgrade, and I want to thank to the UNO staff and thank you all for having us.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aldina Husseinovic, and I come from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I also study international relations and European studies, and my passion is essentially fighting for the rights of people with disabilities in my community.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Angela, a bold fellow from Montenegro. I have master's degree in criminal law, and thank you for the opportunity to present myself here today.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mia Selena Lerch. I come from Banja Luka, Bosnia and Herzegovina. I just finished high school, and I'm very grateful to be here and deeply honored for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Well, good morning from my side as well. My name is Mihajlo Matkovic. I'm from Novi Sad, Serbia, and I'm one of the 15 UN Youth Champions for Disarmament. I used to be youth delegate to United Nations and the Council of Europe, but I'm here as a bold fellow primarily due to my community engagement on the local level, for which I also received Princess Diana Award, and really an honor to be here and see how you engage your community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Maša Rudović. I'm from Belgrade, Serbia. I just finished my first year of film studies, and I'm very grateful to be here and to represent my country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Diana Maraš. I'm coming from Montenegro. I have a bachelor degree in economics, and I'm going to enroll my master's degree specialized in economic policy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jovana Markovic. I'm from Montenegro. I'm studying architecture, and thank you for this amazing opportunity.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Nujaima. I come from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I study Faculty of Political Science, now fourth year, Department Security and Peace Studies. My passion is local politics, and for example, last year I made an initiative to change the part of my constitution of my hometown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, all. It's an honor to be with you all. My name is Alan Kubat. I come from Sarajevo, Bosnia and Herzegovina. My project is based on educational platforms for minorities to get information on their healthcare. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, respected commissioners. It is an honor to be addressing you this morning. My name is Hana Kunic. I hold a bachelor's degree in political sciences, and I'm currently in my final year of law studies. I also hold the title of Young European Ambassador, and my passions include human rights and youth activism. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Irma, and I'm also from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I hold my bachelor's degree in political science, and I'm youth rights activist in our country. So I'm working towards government to make young people's lives better. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Emma Tutic. I came from Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's a great honor to be here, and thank you all for this opportunity for all of us, because this is one of the lifetime opportunity. And one more time, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again for once again welcoming one of our delegations. I just want to remind you that the selection process for this program and for YSEALI is similar to the State Department's International Visitor Leadership Program, which is the oldest State Department program of this type. And over 1,000 of those alumni have gone on to be either the president or prime minister of their country. So you have a good chance of having a possible leader sitting before you today. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Val, for bringing the group today. And I know we have a couple comments here. So, Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just welcome you all. Thanks for coming. I don't have a serious question, but I just kept hearing a certain country. I'm just wondering, are any of you all Denver Nuggets fans? Okay. All right. Thanks for coming.
Got some yeses. Commissioner Boyle.
Yeah, I always enjoy hearing your backgrounds, and it impresses me because I was joking with Val beforehand. You know, when I was 20 years old, I was looking at getting out of class and, you know, going out with my boyfriend. So I wasn't thinking about saving the world like you all are. So, but truth be told, I appreciate those that are in the medical field because I myself am a physician, and it's really fascinating and amazing how you can combine politics with some of that too. And some people don't think it overlaps, but it really does. But I also have a business degree, so those of you in political science and all that, I appreciate that too. So I appreciate it because you really are our future, and that's the type of thing that gives me hope. You know, you're young enough to be, most of us are kids, and so sometimes we feel bitter and upset about the way politics goes, but you're actually doing something about it. So keep your enthusiasm. We as adults that see you up and coming, you bring us hope. So thank you for working hard to make the world the way you really think it should be. So this is your future. We're trying not to mess it up too bad, so when you all take over, that it becomes the place you want it to be. So thank you for coming. Thank you for doing this. You inspire us. You're amazing, and just go off and do amazing things.
Thank you. Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Thank you, and thank you for coming. This is a very impressive group, and we really appreciate you coming and spending time with us. I know you have a busy schedule, but as the chairman indicated, our next topic is going to be our jail. And I think some of you indicated that you were going into law, maybe criminal law. We have about 1,000 people in our jail here today, and there are hundreds more in the state penitentiary out by the airport where you came in. It might be interesting for you to see how our jails operate and how corrections, our department that oversees the jail, administers criminal justice here. I know you have to go, but the next item on our agenda is this, and there is a report that I will share with Dr. McPherson that maybe some of you would like to get a copy of and look at it if you're interested in criminal justice. Thank you. And thanks for coming.
We'll go to Commissioner Borgeson.
Thank you, and I just wanted to welcome you and thank you for being here. It actually warms my heart in this crazy negative world that we're living in, full of, and I don't use the word hate very often, but I really feel there's a lot of hatred in this world and violence in this world. And to see young people come and flourish and be spectacular as you are, it warms my heart and gives me hope for the future. And so thank you very much for being with us and sharing with us.
Thank you. And Commissioner Rogers?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to answer the question for some of the blank stares when I made my comment. The Denver Nuggets is the home team for Nikola Jokic, who's the league's MVP, so that's the comment. But again, you all are doing great things. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Val. All right. At this point, we can recess Board of Commissioners to go into Board of Corrections, if there's a motion. Motion by Morgan to go into recess, second by Friend. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Commissioner Kavanaugh is absent.
Thank you very much. We shall now go into Board of Corrections. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson. Commissioner Boyle. Commissioner Kavanaugh is away at the moment. Commissioner Friend. Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Rogers. Mr. Chair.
Here. First item of business is item 1, approval of the minutes of the Board of Corrections meeting held Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Rogers. Second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next, we have our report from the Director of Corrections, Director Myers.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Myers, Director of Corrections for Douglas County. You have before you my report for the month of August. After the second month of the fiscal year, we are $479,428 under budget. There was just under $500,000 spent on overtime costs in August. This is an increase, but it was driven largely by the training of our staff in strategic inmate management, which I will elaborate on later in the report. And over $1 million was processed in bond payments by our records division. Turning to enclosure number 2, Community Corrections and Reentry Services. The Sanction Center and Transitional Discharge Center placed a total of 15 individuals in community corrections, which saved 95 bed days in the jail. Work release admitted 20 individuals. The Reentry Assistance Program, or RAP, admitted 24, and 1 individual there achieved a GED. Reentry Services and Therapeutic Communities admitted 57 individuals into the therapeutic community housing units, and 1 individual also achieved a GED. 19 individuals were referred to intensive outpatient treatment, and 36 individuals received substance use disorder evaluations. There were 215 individuals placed on pretrial release. A total of 1,381 individuals were supervised on pretrial release over the course of the month. 578 individuals participated in 24/7 sobriety. 150 individuals were supervised via GPS monitors that theoretically saved 3,292 jail bed days. And that translates into a savings in detention costs for Douglas County of $395,040. Our law library usage on the tablet system continues to demonstrate increased access with cost efficiencies for Douglas County. Enclosure number 3, compliance. We are kind of in a not a dead period, but just nothing really on the horizon. So we are just compiling data for all of our compliance processes. Enclosure number 4, personnel. 8 officers below the rank of sergeant and 1 sergeant left employment in August. This includes 2 retirements. As of August 30th, we were 103% staffed among correctional officer ranks. An academy class of 18 officers graduated on August 30th. They are currently participating in 3 weeks of field training. We are planning to have our next academy, which will be our final one of 2024, beginning in mid-October. 1 officer promoted from CO1 to CO2, and I want to congratulate, sincere congratulations to Sergeant Walter Barbie and Officer Arthur Cooks, who both retired in August after long and distinguished careers with the Department of Corrections. Enclosure number 5, population. There were 1,352 admissions and 1,378 releases. Our high count was 1,127. Our low count was 1,052. We did have a population increase last month. Our average ADP was 1,090. That is up 33 from the previous month. Not uncommon for late in the summer. The average length of stay for inmates released in August, the overall average length of stay was 30 days. 48% of inmates stayed longer than 72 hours. The average length of stay for those individuals was 57 days. 52% of inmates were released in 72 hours or less. The average length of stay for those individuals was 1.32 days. There were 76 custodial sanctioned bed days. The U.S. Marshal population decreased. The average felony pretrial population was 737, a decrease. The average daily misdemeanor pretrial population was 147. That was an increase. Probation violations increased. 20% of our population were between the ages of 18 and 24. 66% of our population were minorities. 15% of our population were female. And 18% of our population were homeless or nearly homeless. And closure number 6, medical. There were a couple of items that, as I go through the transition that we made from Wexford from Wellpath to Wexford, there were some reports that weren't immediately available. So there's a couple of items that we will track on a year-to-date basis, but they're not included in this month's report because of the switchover of data systems, which occurred right at the end of the month. There were 1,119 intake screenings. There were 393 health and physical assessments. Inmates were sent out 23 times for emergent medical care. 9 of those were by 911. There were 9 hospital admissions, which resulted in a combined total of 34 days of hospitalization, and there were 50 off-site medical appointments. Enclosure number 7, mental health. There were 147 initial psychiatric assessments and 202 initial mental health assessments. The mental health infirmary placements, as well as the number of individuals on the drug and alcohol withdrawal protocols, are the data that were not immediately available by the time I needed to prepare this report. So we will have that updated for you with year-to-date totals next month. There were 3 referrals to the Board of Mental Health, 7 transfers to the Lincoln Regional Center, and 48.7% of our population was diagnosed with a mental illness. Enclosure number 8, security, operations, and honor guard. Our crisis negotiation team was deployed 6 times. Incidents included mentally ill individuals who were refusing to shower, a mentally ill individual who was actually refusing to be transferred to a mental health facility, an individual who barricaded himself in his cell, and an individual who was refusing a court-ordered blood draw, and finally an individual who was refusing to attend court. All incidents were resolved with no or minimal force used, and no injuries were reported. Our emergency response team, or CERT, was deployed 6 times as well, and they were all in those same deployments that I just described for the negotiation team. There were 13 searches conducted. Minor contraband included modified items for tattooing and nuisance items such as extra linens. Significant contraband recovered included suspected K2 and suspected methamphetamine. Our Honor Guard provided color guard services at our academy graduation. Enclosure number 9, staff development, wellness, and retention. 43 individuals interviewed for correctional officer positions. There were 73 applications received. Over 100 staff members completed 24 hours of strategic inmate management operational philosophy training in August. 14 staff members utilized the Wellness and Retention Office for assistance. 4 staff members were referred to external mental health resources. Our peer support team was deployed on August 31st following a critical event, where our staff members intervened quite impressively, I might say, to prevent a suicide and successfully administered emergency medical care. Other noteworthy items: we held our ceremonial groundbreaking for our mental health edition on August 20th. Fencing around the construction perimeter is being placed, and construction should begin within a matter of weeks. The transition to Wexford Health to be the provider of medical and mental health services has been completed. I wish to thank the local medical and mental health team, wexfordhealth.com, WellPath, the Douglas County Attorney's Office, specifically Teresa's staff, and a host of DCDC staff to make this very complicated and significant event happen. Wexford took over these important duties on September 1st. Work to complete the safety renovations on the original portion of the jail began in late August. The final phase of this project will replace current bunks with models that are safer. Contractors are currently working in 2 housing units to make modifications to the cells and install the new bunks. We anticipate completion of this project in early 2025, and that will eliminate all bunks with tie-off points in any unit in the jail that's celled. 2 of our leadership staff attended a training sponsored by the National Institute of Corrections on restrictive housing. The goal of this training is to implement processes that safely mitigate the impact of restrictive housing on individuals who display behaviors which make them unsafe to house in general population. Our veterans community in the jail was visited by officials from Johnson County, Kansas, and Sedgwick County, Kansas, as they looked to us for ideas to emulate. So that was quite an honor to have. There was judges, prosecutors, staff that worked at their jails that all came to visit and see the program that we have. So it was an honor to have them. The first 2 housing units, which will switch to the Strategic Inmate Management, or SIM model, will go live, and actually that date was yesterday. And 2 more will switch on September 23rd. The tentative plan, depending on how smoothly these first transitions go, is to average about 1 housing unit per week as we train our staff throughout the facility. At that pace, we will have completely converted to a SIM facility within about 7 to 8 months. And I am going to bring up Justine Wall, our Rehabilitative Services Administrator, and she has a guest that I think is very important to hear, for the public to hear his story. We oftentimes have people that try and paint individuals in the criminal justice system with a broad brush and kind of want to cast them away. And those of us who work in this profession know that the vast majority of individuals who come into our custody are not individuals that need to be locked away for the rest of their lives, or denied services, or denied opportunities. And Justine is going to tell you about one such shining example of that.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justine Wall, Rehabilitative Services Administrator for Douglas County Corrections.
As Director Myers mentioned, I'm here to introduce a special guest. Our guest is a participant in the Veterans Treatment Court and currently in Community Corrections Reentry Assistance Program, also known as RAP. As a reminder, RAP participants are housed in community corrections. During phase 1 of the program, they attend classes for 4 to 6 weeks. And then once they're done with classes, they'll be evaluated to then enter the community to complete various reentry tasks. A vast majority of the individuals in RAP are pretrial individuals. Also, most of the participants in RAP do not end up going to prison once they are adjudicated. This type of pretrial program is important since it gives pretrial individuals who are returning to the community more access to important tools and services prior to their release. In corrections, we have a lot of individuals in various programs who work very hard to meet their goals. We believe everyone deserves to be recognized for their accomplishments. In corrections, we have small ways to try and recognize them. For example, when they complete classes, we give them certificates. If they complete the intensive outpatient program, we have a little graduation ceremony. And if they graduate with their GED, we organize a graduation ceremony where they wear caps and gowns and they are awarded their diploma in front of their friends and family. So like I said, we think it's very important for them to be recognized for what they do. So that's why we thought it was important to take this opportunity to recognize this individual for his extraordinary deed. Mr. Thaddeus Brown is a participant in, like I said, in the Veterans Treatment Court and currently on phase 1 in the RAP program. On Thursday, August 29th, Mr. Brown was being escorted to the Veterans Treatment Court when he noticed a frantic woman and a child in need. I would like to play this quick news story.
All right, a stranger is the one to save the child. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bill Shammerts.
I'm Quinicia Fraser. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office says this man left the kid in the car while he appeared in court for a probation violation.
Tonight, only on KETV News Watch 7, you'll hear from the man who saved that child.
KETV News Watch 7, Sean McKinnon joins us live from the Douglas County Courthouse. Sean?
Bill, Quinicia, it happened here outside the courthouse Thursday around 11:30 a.m. Thaddeus Brown was on his way to court when he saw a woman panicking, trying to get in the car. That's when he saw the toddler trapped inside, and in that moment, he knew he had to do something.
Meet Thaddeus Brown.
Vietnam vet, 67 years old. I just had a triple bypass.
He moved to Omaha 40 years ago and raised 3 kids.
And I have my own business here. For 37 years, I did general contracting right throughout the city.
After his wife died last year, he was arrested for a simple drug possession charge. Now he's sober and in the reentry assistance program for veterans.
I had to make a choice. Do I live or do I continue to spiral out? I decided to live.
Thursday, Brown was on the way to court, being promoted to phase 2 of the recovery program. That's when he saw the woman screaming about the child in the car. Without hesitating, he stepped in and helped.
I tried to jam in, shaking the window down for a little bit more. I got it down just a little bit more, and it wouldn't. So I started folding the window.
Brown reached in, opened the door, and saved the child. They were taken to the hospital. It was in the mid-80s when the kid was trapped inside the car. In just 10 minutes, a car's inside temp hits 104 degrees. In 20 minutes, 114. In 30 minutes, 119. And after an hour, 128 degrees.
Love your kids. Hold them even closer.
Brown will complete his recovery program later this year.
It's been a wonderful life, I'm still holding on to a better life.
As for the man who allegedly left the child in the car on top of his probation violation, he was charged with felony intent of abuse of a child. As for the child, that child was taken to the hospital.
Good.
As you can see from the story, Mr. Brown's quick actions potentially prevented a bad outcome. So I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Brown to tell his story in his own words.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's my pleasure to be here and also to represent Douglas County. One thing I have to say, they're doing a great job, especially with me. So I'm honored, like I said, and really thankful, for being able to do what I did. And also, I'd like to say thank you for bringing me here. Ladies and gentlemen, what these individuals are doing is one of the greatest things I've seen yet. And I've never been in trouble before, so this is something new for me. And matter of fact, I'm honored, that you guys are doing what you do, and thankful. Basically, what I want to say is that I hope to keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Commissioners, with that, I am ready for your questions.
All right, we'll go to Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Morning. Thank you. Just go over some of the metrics that we usually hit here. If I got this right, the average daily population over the last month is 1,090 inmates, up to 33 from the previous month. I think you indicated that there's a seasonal peak about this time, August usually, and that accounts for most of this.
Yeah, it's not unexpected. We've seen that seasonal swing become less severe in recent years, which is good, but there's more activity in the summer, so you end up with a cumulative effect over the course of the summer.
And the average length of stay of that population is about 30 days, with 52% staying less than 72 hours.
Correct.
It looks like the bulk of the remainder, 737 felons pretrial, 147 misdemeanors pretrial, are people awaiting adjudication.
Exactly, much like Mr. Brown. Okay. It's important to have these programs.
And then 66% minorities.
Yes.
Which is roughly the ballpark we've been in for a long time.
It has.
I think there's one other category here regarding staffing. If I heard you correctly, it's 103% staffed. Is that amongst Correction Officer 1?
Correction Officer 1 through Lieutenant.
That's very good, and a signal accomplishment of your administration. We've come a long way.
I had a lot of support from this board and my staff to make that happen.
So, you spoke about completing an addition to the jail in the existing facility, in the mods?
So we started a project a couple of years ago, actually, to replace bunks in the jail, all top bunks with safer models.
Right.
The original portion of the jail created some architectural challenges, so we kind of pushed that to the end of the project, and so those obstacles have been, the architects have figured out how to do it, and so thanks to Public Properties and our contractor, we're making headway now on replacing those bunks.
The final segment of the bunk replacement.
That whole, like the original portion of the jail, there's about 8 to 10 housing units that we're replacing those bunks in.
And in my last tour, I mean, the bunks were being replaced mod by mod, but you were also putting up netting on the higher.
Correct. That is done throughout the
done.
jail.
So over the last couple of years, it's a substantially safer environment.
It is.
Hope.
Yes.
The funding for that, what was the source of funding for that?
That was ARPA dollars.
Thank you. And you say that process will be complete, what was the time frame?
Early 2025.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Borgerson.
Thank you. And if I may ask Mr. Brown and his family to come down just one more time. I want to thank Mr. Brown for not only his service to our country, but also for your courageous act of saving a young life. And I just thought it would be very appropriate for you to come around and shake all of our hands, and if we could have Jake get a picture of us with you. Thank you for what you did. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we're going to get a picture with you guys.
Thank you for that, and I do have a couple of questions for Director. Mike, on page 3, when we talk about the mental health, the long-term psychiatric facility, the number 7, kind of sticks out to me. But can you explain, is that 7 for that actually went to the facility during this month, or is it a accumulation
No,
of?
we had a good month. I can tell you in July, that number was 0.
Right.
Okay, so I want to give credit where credit's due. The Lincoln Regional Center has made some improvements. The people still wait too long, but we have seen some strides being made this year.
Okay. I just, again, the number 7 kind of.
Yeah, that was
like,
a,
wow,
a
that was-
productive month.
Yes, yes, very good. And then, can you, maybe not this time, but next month or whenever, we've talked a lot about this strategic inmate management model, but I still don't really quite understand what the difference is going to be when we actually, well, we did implement it yesterday. So can somebody do a presentation for us
Absolutely.
as to what that
I'll
actually
have our
be?
training,
Okay.
someone from our training division come with me next month.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on Director's report for corrections? If not, thank you, Director Myers.
Thank you, Commissioners.
I'll take a motion to adjourn and go back into Board of Commissioners. Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. First, we'll start with Section 1, minutes and claims. Item A. Go ahead, sir. Another roll call? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Borgeson? Commissioner Boyle? Commissioner Kavanaugh? Commissioner Friend? Commissioner Morgan? Commissioner Rogers? Mr. Chair?
Here.
Thank you.
Item 1A, approval of minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held Tuesday, August 27, 2024. And item B, approval of claims submitted for payment process through Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Do I have a motion and second? Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we'll go into our consent agenda. I believe, Mr. Clerk, you had mentioned there was one duplicate item. Is that the case?
Yes, correct, and it's Douglas County Clerk. So items B and K are the same, so we're just going to remove item K.
Removal of item K as a technical correction. Do I have a motion and a second for discussion with the correction made? Yep. Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. We'll go to Commissioner Boyle.
So another duplicate?
Is there?
I think the one with the F and M?
2 different days.
2 different days. Okay, never mind.
Okay, got it. Looks like we're good there. Commissioner Kavanaugh?
Actually, following up on F and M, these are special liquor license requests, and this is more informational than anything else. They're for the same locale a week apart. And these are approved special designated liquor license for 1316 Jones LLC for an event to be held. One is the 21st and the other is the 28th of this month, 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. at Xenia, 450 South 190th Street. And I looked into the backup documents and it just said for an event. And like I said, this is for informational purposes. Mr. Brian Cobbs is the requester on both of these. It doesn't say what the event is, but I'm just curious if somebody can address this. If I wanted to just get a special liquor license for my backyard barbecue, I mean, is that what we're talking about here, or does anybody know? And I guess I don't know how much a special liquor license costs, if anything. So is there anybody here that can kind of give some background on that? I don't know what this event is, why you would apply for a special liquor license, and what it would entail in terms of costs. If not, I understand we can do this another time. The same thing that struck Commissioner Boyle struck me is you getting a liquor license for the same place for 2 weekends. Could be a great Husker party, I don't know, but.
Dan Esch, Douglas County Clerk. I guess on this particular one on item M, I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it is, but the NLCC seemed to think that they had checked all the boxes off, and it was okay to proceed with them coming before us.
Right, and 1316 Jones is Old Market, so it could be one of the hospitality facilities in the Old Market, I guess. I don't know what 1316.
Yeah, so sometimes, especially for fundraisers, they'll use, who's ever putting it on will basically use someone's existing liquor license in order to have the event, like to be able to serve alcohol at it. Xenia, I haven't been there, but I guess I've seen it before. I guess I just assumed it was like an event space that you could rent out. So my guess is these folks are just having some sort of fundraiser or event at that location on two different Saturdays.
Right. And this would be if you were actually selling liquor at these events, is that right? As opposed to, I have a backyard barbecue,
right.
And I provide drinks.
Yes, if I'm misstating anything, I can clear it up next time it's on the agenda, but I don't believe if they were exactly what you were saying. If you're having people over, it's not like you need to get an SDL for it, but if a place like this, fundraiser, they're selling wine or beer, they need to have at least an SDL for it.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would have been remiss in not getting special designation liquor license many, many, many times. So I just wanted to make sure that this was for the sale of liquor at a particular event.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment on consent agenda items? Larry?
Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha 68132. On that particular item, Mr. Kavanaugh, I'm going to take the opportunity to critique the sound system because I couldn't quite understand your question. I was reading the item. My interpretation of that item is that if it's a 501c3 and a fundraising event, that's not really a backyard barbecue. So therefore, it's a public event and it requires a liquor license. However, I get confused when sometimes you guys deny liquor licenses or deny to do anything because it's a state decision and not really yours. But anyway, the point being that it's probably a waste of time on the agenda, but also the sound system has not yet been fixed. The speakers back there are not working. This side of the room was extremely loud to me. That side of the room, I can barely hear because number one, the speakers are all out here and it's echoing. Number two, Jim, you don't sit up to the microphone. The others do, okay. But you're closest to me and I can't hear you very well. Maybe that's part of his distraction, I don't know. But how many times have I talked about this? And the administrative services people have not fixed it. The sound system has not been fixed, but yet my property taxes have gone up again. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question on consent agenda? If none, we'll vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to section 3, recognitions and proclamations. We have first item A, a recognition of the following county employee retirement: Dominic Zappia, who worked for Douglas County Health Center for 21 years. I don't think the employee is here today, but we thank Dominic Zappia for his long tenure of service to Douglas County citizens. And I'll take a motion in a second to approve that first one. Was it Borgerson? Motion by Borgerson and second by Rogers. Please vote.
Give me one moment, Commissioners. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. We have one more recognition of a retirement, which is for Forrest Dooley, who worked for Douglas County Department of Corrections for 17 years. Is anybody here on that item? I don't think so. So we will go ahead and thank Mr. Forrest Dooley for his long service to Douglas County citizens as well, 17 years long, and we'll take a motion in a second to officially approve that one as well. Motion by Morgan, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. That completes recognitions for today. We already did presentations, so we'll jump to public hearing. We have one item, item 5A, a public hearing for Class D beer, wine, spirits off sale only for Casey's Retail Company, DBA Casey's for 591 at the address stated on the final agenda with manager for the application, Christopher Siek. I shall open the public hearing at this moment and ask if there's any comments or questions for this item. If none, I will close the public hearing and ask the will of the board. Motion to approve by Borgeson, second by Rogers. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. We'll go to committee discussion and action. Under section 6, item A, finance, we have budget report as presented. Under B, administrative services, we do have one resolution Placed under Ministerial Services by nature of the topic, we have resolution selecting the Graham Group Incorporated as construction manager at risk for the Douglas County Community Mental Health Center construction project located at 1101 South 42nd Street. And we do have our Public Properties Director, Jeff McGill. Could you give us a quick context on this one? I'll take one. Yes, thank you. Motion by Bergeson, second by Rogers. And we'll take some comments by Jeff.
Jeff McGill, Director of Public Properties. Back in May, believe it, the board engaged services for construction manager at risk and also selected the selection committee for that. In July, we advertised with proposals on the street. And then through August, we had a walkthrough. We received proposals. We received seven of them. The committee met, reviewed the 7 proposals. We shortlisted 4, and we interviewed 4. And the Graham Group was our recommendation for selection. So we need board approval to move forward.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and open up discussion. Commissioner Cavanaugh.
And thanks for this, Jeff. This proposal process that you just mentioned, was this a bid process?
It's based on qualifications. There was no cost in the proposals.
So you know what I mean by public bid process?
Yes.
By law? Did it go
By
through?
law, we advertised, we followed the state statute. By law, we had to advertise it for 30 days
Right.
minimum, and then we received proposals.
By proposals, do you mean bids?
We had a criteria for qualifications, so they would meet these. I think there's five or seven qualifications in the specifications for proposals.
Right.
They had to answer, and then we went through a ranking system to rank the firms.
And when you say we, public properties?
Selection committee.
Sorry?
Selection committee.
Okay. And I think a couple of the commissioners are on that, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So this wasn't the statutory bid proposal authorization process?
Correct. It did not go through purchasing.
Okay. And is there a reason for that?
Based on professional services.
Right. The professional services exception to the statutory bid proposal process covers this type of service?
That's correct.
Okay. What was the cost of this proposal?
There was no cost. We are going to negotiate the fee.
I'm sorry.
We are going to negotiate that fee, similar to what we did with the last construction manager at risk.
And what was that last one? No, what was the entity that we did it for, the building?
That was the correction project. I think
Okay.
it was 3.5% of construction.
Right. And that included the kids' jail portion of that?
The youth center has nothing to do with the correction project.
Oh, the corrections project for the expansion?
Yes, over the parking lot.
Okay, the expansion for the psychiatric unit.
Yes,
Okay. And that was 3.5% of
I
the
believe so, yes.
project cost?
The construction cost.
Okay. So if the project cost was $100,000, that would be for $3,500,
Yeah,
right?
yep, I believe. I'd do the math.
So does this include a 3.5% project cost fee?
No, it doesn't. That's what we're going to negotiate. I believe they're coming in tomorrow, so we can start negotiations.
Okay. Will that come back to the board for approval?
For the contract, yes.
Okay. So we're just approving this vendor today?
Correct.
And this is for the 42nd Street
Community mental
psychiatric
health?
unit for community mental health?
Yes.
Right. And that proposed project cost is approximately what?
I think it was in the construction cost was 19.5.
So, just projecting forward, if it came out to be approximately 3.5% of project cost, it would be 3.5% of $19,500,000.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you
10
know when
seconds.
you'd come back to us with that?
We're working on the contracts right now. So we'll come back with the contract, and our attorney needs to review it, so probably a month,
Okay.
hopefully early.
That's
Okay.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Kavanaugh. Any other questions or comments on this item? Larry?
This is not specifically on that particular wording, but I would like to make a comment about administrative services.
It needs to be on the Community Mental Health Center construction project.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. If nothing else, we'll go ahead and vote. There's a motion to approve. Yeah, there is one already. Yep. Thank you.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right. Thank you, Director McGill. We'll go ahead and move forward with committees here. We do have Human Resources Weekly Personnel Report from Civil Service as presented. We do have a need for executive session for the purpose of contract negotiation, and that's it. Is that correct? Teresa and Patrick?
Could I add one thing to that? Just a legal question I want to bring up in the executive session. Just a quick legal matter.
A legal advice matter. Can we
Yes.
add that without
Yes, you
issue?
can.
Okay.
Thank you.
So contract negotiation plus legal advice. Do I have a motion, a second to go to exec session?
Second.
Motion by Roger, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. The board shall now go into executive session for the purpose of contract negotiation and legal advice. Board and staff, please note that we are going to go upstairs to room 903 because this room behind us is under construction. Thank you.
Recording stopped.